Welcome to the FGA podcast. Here are your hosts, Skeet, Jericho, and Richard Longenhard. Hello, folks, and welcome to another edition of the FGA podcast. I'm Skeet, Jericho, alongside my co-host, Richard Longenhard, who is in his native homeland of Sweden recording this podcast. And this podcast will be our 2021 preseason podcast. We'll take a look at every single member, as well as a couple of other individuals who we have heard rumblings about them becoming members before the 2021 season begins. But we'll get into that. But first, Richard, how are you doing? How is Sweden? I have to ask who you're staying with, as I know you won't be staying with who is your former wife and is now your current wife.
She's estranged. No, this is actually her property. I'm renting out the undeveloped basement suite, as I have been for several years now. It's a living.
Mm-hmm. It looks terrible.
No, it's pretty awful. Sunlight sometimes comes through this one window, though, and that is just it's the golden hour, I call it.
I love that. Love the sounds of that. Well, we may as well get right into it. Let's just get moving along on this podcast and take a quick look back at 2020, because the last time we had a podcast, it was kind of mid-season of 2020, where the Lakeview Classic still had to take place, as well as the Crystal Ridge Open and the FGA Challenge. And quickly glossing over those, the Lakeview Classic saw Jonah Brown-Hosian end I think it was a 40,000-day winless skid, and that was incredible to see alongside his teammate, Braden Brown, who broke through for his first major championship on the FGA circuit. So a very fun major to watch nonetheless. Then the Crystal Ridge Open came around, and Brady Ketcher, the rookie phenom, came into that, won the Crystal Ridge Open en route to winning the Crocodile Cup, capping off not only one of the best rookie seasons we'll ever see on the FGA circuit, but one of the best seasons of all time.
Yeah, well, you hit the nail on the head. It was a terrific season. It was arguably the greatest season of all time so far. Let's be quite frank. There's a lot of room for improvement for these fellas. They need to, get their act together. Somebody needs to separate themselves from the pack, establish themselves as the greatest on tour.
Absolutely. And Brady with a pretty decent first step in his rookie season of doing that. So we'll see what he has in encore in 2021. And then, of course, the FGA Challenge took place, the rich man's Ryder Cup, as I should say. And it was Team Pickering victorious. That team comprised of Captain Joel Pickering, Connor Thompson, Jonah Brown-Hosian, and the amateur Drew Kavanaugh. They won in a thrilling playoff, and what to me was probably the most electric event in the entire 2020 FGA season.
Yeah, it's amazing, because despite the playoff, it really wasn't even close. It really was Pickering's team that kind of just slammed their way through it. They won quite easily despite the playoff. And it was an event for the ages, for sure, just to see pure dominance from a team so well constructed, so well disciplined, and able to go out there and claim what was truly rightfully theirs. It was a special event for sure for the FGA, and I know that they're eager to have that again this year.
We knew a blowout was coming, and that's what we saw at the FGA Challenge. Team Pickering was just so much better than what was it? I can't even remember the name. Team. It was a Team Catcher. I don't know. Who cares?
No, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah, it was a blowout. It was very fun to watch such a well-led team.
Yeah, the machine. It's like a machine. Just.
But now we move forward to 2021. We were about a month away from the Dragon's Invitational, kicking off the start to what will be another fantastic FGA Circuit season. And How excited are you to be able to watch again? It feels like this has been the longest of off seasons.
Oh, and it truly has. It lockdown, non-lockdown, and here in Sweden, of course, never lockdown. I've been in a self-imposed lockdown in the basement suite for 6 to 8 months, and it's been beautiful. I've been able to reconnect with myself, but I know you over there have been going through just hell with are we locked down, are we not, are we locked down, are we not? So yes, it truly has been the longest off season ever, and I think that when the fans get their first taste of the FGA circuit this year, it'll feel as if it never had this layoff.
That's a great point. And before we just get into each, we're going to talk about each member and one question that regarding each member and discuss that. But before we get into that, I just want to comment on how wonderful this the footage is here on Zoom. It's so clear. It's like 1080p.
Yep. And for all your meeting needs, please use Zoom.
Yeah. And like for me, I haven't had cable since I was a child due to the FGA not paying us for our work. But I rely exclusively on a VCR, and I watched 2 movies on repeat. Looney Tunes Back in Action, starting Brendan Fraser, and Schindler's List, and I watched those on repeat. And the quality of it is just nowhere near as good as it is here in our podcast on Zoom. But
just those 2 movies, hey?
That's the only ones I have, and I can recite them word for word. One much more entertaining than the other. Let's get into
let's save that for the next one.
The questions for each player. And we're going to start with the defending Crocodile Cup champion, Brady Ketcher. 3 major championship wins, a Crocodile Cup win, all in his rookie season.
Yep.
Begs the question, do we see regression or progression in 2021?
Oh, I think there's no doubt we see regression. I think the field's about to get a little bit harder. I think the field's going to be a little bit more competitive. And things are going to angle, against him. We know how dynamic the FGA is in making sure there's parity in the league. There's questions that he might get, no partner, and he gets a double par on every hole, and he's just a hope other teams, are worse than that. There's been a lot of scoring things that have been rumored out of the FGA. That one seems to be gaining a lot of traction with the higher ups, but it's hard for me to put my eggs in the basket of progression.
I completely agree. It's almost impossible to build off of what he did in 2020. And as we've heard, there has been some, I don't want to call it anger, but I want to call it just pure aggression towards Ketcher from the rest of the membership.
It's mean.
In winning, their prestigious majors, and kind of just acting nonchalant about it. Again, he puts on that vibe that he's like, it's just another walk in the park for me. I just want another tournament. It is what it is. And I don't think that sat very well with not only the co-commissioners, but also just the entire membership as a whole. So it'll be interesting to see how they deal with Ketcher in 2021.
Oh, no, certainly. I think that there's some real questions surrounding his attitude. I think that some words have been uttered, some fancy words, some psychology words, psychopath, sociopath.
He's not the only one either. Those are words described for a lot of people on the FGA circuit. So
you might hear that again.
You might. And either way, I think we both agree that we will see some regression from Brady, Richard, Nixon, Ketcher in 2021. Well, that allows us to move on to a guy that kind of had a completely different season compared to Brady Ketcher. And that's Joel Pickering, who came into 2020 as the defending Crocodile Cup champion. Doesn't get a win.
At that time, had the greatest season on record by Croc Cup points.
Absolutely. So, but then in 2020, he doesn't get a win. He doesn't qualify for the Crystal Ridge Open. He does end up leading Team Pickering to a win at the FGA Challenge. But again, he went 0-2 in his matches there. It just wasn't a great year for a guy that has a boatload of talent. So the question is, will he re-enter the winner's circle in 2021?
Well, the reputation's hanging by a thread. It has to be. You don't come off of a Croc Cup winning season and not win a major, not win a Croc Cup event. pathetic is a word that comes to mind. But at the same time, the only thing that leads me to believe there is hope for a turnaround is he's obviously got the capabilities to put together a team to rally a win, and he did that at the FGA Challenge, and that leads me to believe yes, over 2, but clearly had his effect on the fellas that were selected, and was able to lead them to victory, unlike his counterpart.
Yeah, we know, and we've heard from many players within the FGA that he is a great leader. He's a guy that just rallies teams to victories. And again, he's won 5 major championships. I think of a guy who has so much talent. There's no way in my mind he doesn't. I really believe he's going to re-enter the winner's circle and win a major in 2021. I really do.
Yeah, well, I won't disagree with you. I think that he does get the job done, and I think it gets done early this year.
Yeah, agreed. So now moving on to a guy that got his maiden major championship victory at the Lakeview Classic last year with Jonah Brown-Hosian. It was Braden Brown, and he came into the FGA as a very highly touted amateur. His talent level being talked about throughout all circles.
Yep.
Had a great amateur career, but then had a pretty slow start. But he does get his win at the Lakeview Classic, his first win. What do we see coming from Braden Brown in 2021? And I think that the bigger question that surrounds Brown is, will his putter hold him back in 2021? We've seen him be very yippy on greens before. He doesn't really know which grip he wants to use. He's experimenting. He just spent 8 months in his state-of-the-art training facility in Edson, Alberta, nicknamed the Lab. And what we've heard, he really hasn't left there with much to think about or to work on with putting. He's still very, very confused about what that's going to look like this season. Is that a major cause for concern, and will it hold him back this year?
It has to be a major cause for concern. It's a term I've coined as putter phobia, and Brown's got a bad case of it, if you know what I mean. It's not good to see somebody who has so little faith in their putter, in their ability to knock it even close, try to win events on the FGA. We know how what the putter does, and how much better a score can be if you've got a half decent average putter on your team, and Brown is just not that. I've heard that he can't even be in the same room as the putter for more than 20 minutes. He'll know it's there. He'll sense it. He'll go into convulsions, some sort of weird thing that he has. He should probably see somebody about this. It's not even funny. It's kind of weird.
Incredibly unhealthy.
Yeah,
it's quite scary. So we hope he reaches out and gets the help he needs. And I hope he listens to this and takes our phenomenal advice. But I think looking at the analytics of it, last season on the FGA circuit, the number 1 ranked player in strokes gained putting was Brady Ketcher. He wins the Crocodile Cup. Dead last in strokes gained putting, Cole Medall didn't come close to winning a major in 2020. So that just tells you right there how important the putter is. And if Brown can't figure it out, and if he can't get the help he needs for this putter phobia, good luck. He may not even sniff the winner's circle in 2021. I
say sayonara if you can't figure it out. Goodbye. You ain't coming close.
What is goodbye in Swedish? Do you know?
No, I don't.
You don't know your native language?
No, I never learned it.
Okay.
Danke.
We'll move on to
Danke. That's thank you in German.
We'll move on to Cole Medall. And Cole is, I think the first question that comes to mind, well, we'll first take a look at Cole and say, in 2020, this is a guy that didn't get one major victory. And he did it, like I mentioned earlier, he wasn't even close to getting a major championship title.
Not close.
And so now the question to me, his last win coming at the 2019 Dragon's Head Invitational, the question that always comes to my head when I'm thinking about Cole Medall is, does size matter?
Yeah, I mean, it answers itself. Is it rhetorical? I don't even know how to retort that, Mr. Jericho. It seems like the question answers itself. Does size matter? Why, if you're asking,
Well, does it matter?
No.
It's I guess we could put it this way. The last time a player on the FGA circuit under the height of 5'8" won a major championship was 2019. That's 2 years ago.
Yeah, and in FGA years, that's a long time ago.
It's a very
because the
long
FGA has only been around for going on 6-7 years. So to not win one for 2 years and a player of that stature, you got to think that's like not having won, a Stanley Cup since the 60s.
Very much like the Edmonton Oilers.
Oh, that's not it.
So what's our verdict? Does it matter? Does size matter?
Sure hope not.
Yeah, I'm going to put NA beside that one. Not applicable.
Yeah, I don't think we resolved that one. Let's loop back to that mid-year. Let's see where we're at with that.
Do some more research. Yeah. Now moving on to Connor Thompson. So Connor Thompson, we all know the 8-time major champions, won 2 Crocodile Cups. The record speaks for itself. He is just a phenomenal player with phenomenal looks. And last year, though, we saw some struggles. He won the Dragon's Head Invitational, the first major of the year, lost in a playoff at the McCall Masters, did not qualify for the championship round at the Lakeview Classic, and then finished dead last at the Crystal Ridge Open. We saw a lot of regression from him throughout the season, and he's had some pretty concerning comments over the offseason in regards to what his game is looking like. And we've heard about his injuries. We've also heard many rumors of him maybe retiring at some point in the near future. How legitimate do we think that these rumors are about his retirement?
I don't think he was bluffing in any regard. I do think that losing McCall's playoff, I was greenside, of course. Losing McCall, I looked over at his team and I could just see defeat, just pure deflation in his eyes. And that carried through, as you mentioned. Did not make the playoff, did not make the championship round at Lakeview, and was dead last at Crystal Ridge. That was almost the turning point for him. That losing that event in the fashion that he did, soul crushing. It didn't look like his psyche recovered. Didn't look like he was really able to even get out of bed for some of the other events. That pushing forward into this year is, I would say, just as likely as the inverse of him having sought professional help and overcoming this sense of loss, this sense of failure. So for him, I think that they were and they are legitimate rumors, and I think that there's a lot riding on this year.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I don't think, if he is serious about retiring, I don't think we're going to see it in the next 2 to 3 years. I think we're closer to a 5-year timeline. But the fact he's already, that the rumors are out there of him discussing it with his family, with his agent, when there's smoke, there's fire. You have to think that there is some discussion within the Thompson camp of, hey, the career might be coming to an end pretty soon here. We gotta think about that. So it's going to be interesting to track, and we'll see what type of year he has this year. But he was a very deflated player leaving 2020, even after he was part of the FGA Challenge championship team.
Absolutely true. And there's rumors the injury that been hampering him for quite a while now might be with him for potentially up to the rest of his life. Especially if the surgery doesn't go well and it's potentially botched. So
he's working with a stump of a foot. He's
going to do what's best for him and his family, and we have to respect that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, be interesting to track. We'll now move on to a guy that is, at the time of this recording, not officially a member yet, but he has a lot of experience on the FGA circuit as an amateur, playing in 2 major championships last year, and that's Drew Kavanaugh. And we've seen he's a very talented player, seems to be well liked within the membership. But I have to ask you this, because he's been an amateur for so long now. What will happen first? Him winning a major or him becoming a member?
Cool. Toss up. Is there a toss up option?
Call a friend.
A lot of
must to be a millionaire.
Right? Yeah. If there's a lot of rumors And then we talk. We're a rumor roundup show, of course. There's a lot of rumors surrounding the inability of Kavanaugh to complete the tasks assigned to him to gain membership. Obviously, we don't know the specifics of that. It's very secretive, the Society of the FGA Circuit, but. I mean, how many times are you going to say, where there's smoke, there's fire? If I'm hearing this from 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 sources, I'm going to start believing it. And for him to be unable to complete whatever member tasks are required of him, how long is the FGA going to play with this idea of him becoming a member?
Yeah, great points. And hit the nail on the head there again when you mentioned the 76 sources that you've heard this from, that he's having a ton of trouble
I have a lot of sources
finishing off his obligations of becoming a member. And we know how, and again, it's very secretive, but we know at how high of regard the members hold those objectives, those things that you need to do to become a member on the FGA. And if he's not able to do it, clearly he's going to win a major first before he becomes a member, but who knows? It's going to be interesting.
How many chances both ways is the FGA going to give him?
100%. Very interesting. So it'll be quite interesting to watch what Mr. Kavanaugh's story looks like as it unfolds in 2021. And we'll now move on to the other guy who is also not a member yet, but last year he won a major championship in his debut on the FGA circuit as he won the McCall Masters with teammate Brady Ketcher. The guy we're talking about is Calder Wachrick. Now, with Wachrick, the interesting story about him is he was a very talented player in high school. He was part of a provincial championship team in high school out of Drayton Valley. And we spoke to his coach, Larry Kaczynski from Drayton Valley. And when we spoke to Larry, he provided us some pretty interesting insight into the mental fortitude that Wachrick has. And one of the statements he made to us, and I quote, he told us, "I never want to be alone in the same room with Wachrick due to his insane temper. There were times in our team room that he would randomly pick verbal fights with teammates and then just laugh it off and walk away." End quote. This sounds like a bona fide psychopath and sociopath mixed into one.
A mix. It's a super predator.
Super variant.
Called super variant, super predator. Another term I'm coining. It's scary guy. He stalks around the course. Looks like he's just waiting for a victim to verbally assault. It doesn't even look like he's there to play. He's just there to randomly run from tee to tee, just spouting nonsense and just malicious words at people. I'm scared of the guy. I don't want to be anywhere near him. That's the simple fact of the matter.
Yeah, we appreciate that quote from Mr. Kaczynski, who wanted to remain anonymous. So thank you, Larry. But the question then that revolves around Calder is, will that temper, will he be able to rein it in to have consistent success on the FGA? Because we saw he is a very talented player. He's already a major champion. But will the temper impact him negatively moving forward?
Oh yeah, it's a balance of playing ability and balancing it with his constant need to be mean to other people. And where does he find the ability to shine through with his pure golf talent and kind of put the spitefulness behind him, this just pure unadulterated madness that he has in him, that he just constantly needs to put others down. I don't know if he finds that balance. I mean, the guy's going to be electric, but it's going to take some soul searching for sure.
Yeah, and you just don't know if you start swinging clubs at people on the course. There might be suspensions. You don't know really how many majors he'll get into due to the potential suspensions just from his mental.
Yeah, and the FGA has got to do a very good job of managing his anger and making sure that potentially he's sequestered at certain times to blow off some steam, as one would say.
Absolutely. Well, it'll be interesting. Again, another very interesting storyline to watch. A
separate quote from his from his high school coach is Larry. Thank you, Larry. quote, he peaked. He peaked in high school while he was here, and he knew it. He couldn't do anything about it, so he's just spent his days trying to get back to it.
Wow.
End quote.
Wow. Well, that anonymous source, we appreciate you providing us with those quotes on a player that he had very close contact with, as you know, he was the head coach of Watrick at the Drayton Valley High School.
I would call it a close contact. Yes.
Yeah. So thank you, Larry Kaczynski. But now we will move on to Brett Davis. And this is a guy who we have not seen playing a major championship on the FGA circuit since he made his debut all the way back at the 2018 McCall Masters, where he did end up losing with his teammate Jonah Brown-Hosian. But we haven't seen this guy in a major championship arena for it'll be 3 years. And that's, again, due to the laundry list of his well-documented injuries. He had spinal fusion surgery. He had both hips replaced.
Two spinal fusions.
Two spinal fusions. And then he also had his ACL and MCL reconstructed. We saw him in the FGA Challenge last year. He played pretty well, but we haven't seen him in a major championship for a very long time. He spent his last, I think it was 8 to 9 years in Victoria. And I'm going to bring up a statement made by one of the most famous sports talk show hosts on the planet, Stephen A. Smith. And Stephen A. Smith said, and I quote, "Stay off the weed," end quote. Now, my question is about Brett Davis. Was he a noted stoned out hipster douchebag who lived in Victoria for a very long time? Was he able to avoid really getting into the weed so he can compete at the level necessary to win on the FGA circuit in 2021? What are your thoughts?
And to be direct here, we're completely operating on the assumption that we don't know one way or the other, but we can generally make assumptions based on his choice to live in the place that he did, and due to that choice, he has garnered himself quite a unfortunate following, I would say. And I would say that I don't know if he's going to even remember the dates of the majors, never mind show up and compete in them. I think that his brain might be fried. It might be just toast. I think he might be permabaked. I think he's permabaked.
Yeah. Well, it is a well-known fact that it's seen as very cool to smoke weed by people, and you hope he wasn't, peer pressured into this addiction. You really hope that wasn't it, but it's either way. Yeah. Will he be able to even find the golf course on the days of the majors? This is something we will need to track. And I'm sure the co-commissioners are tracking as well.
Yeah. Getting some real train spotting or Requiem for a Dream vibes from Brett these days. I think he'd do anything for a hit. And not necessarily anything for a win. So I think we need to be aware of that when we're talking to him. Just talk slower. Yeah,
that's a very good point. We have to be very cognizant of the fact that might not all be there. So it'll be interesting. But that is all the players that we need to talk about. That is all the members, as well as the two players that are hoping to become members before the 2021 season begins. But we have spoken about everyone that we need to. Really, the most important people, the legends of the FGA.
Legends of the game, the drivers, the people who are growing the game day in and day out. That's who we spoke to, and that's who we want to speak about. So
the ones you don't forget about.
These are the ones that the history makers will write about. They will be excited. There will be theses on all of them. College professors will have classes designated to each one. It's truly special, and I think we should just honestly take a second to take it in how the people who we've talked about and those people alone will be remembered.
Yes, absolutely. Well, 2021 predictions. Let's hear them. Who is your pick for the Crocodile Cup in 2021?
I've got Braden Brown winning the Crocodile Cup this year. I think that what he showed me at Lakeview was terrific. I think that he's sort of unlocked the key of how to win on the circuit. And I think that should his putter show up, it won't be close.
Yeah. It's a great bet, just with his talent. Hard to bet against him. For me, I'm going to go, and I know we were just discussing the negatives of it, but I'm going to go with Brett Davis. I think that
Good pick.
due to the fact that, you might not all be there anymore, that kind of helps someone on the golf course. A little bit like Dustin Johnson. Sometimes it just seems like, he's not processing things as quick as others, and that can help you. That type of demeanor can help you.
It's like Rain Man. Yeah, it's like Rain Man out there, just kind of not unaware of what's really going on, but able to process the game in a way, a lot of people might not be able to.
And let me be clear, Brett is also not very good at math. I just don't want that.
No. I don't want to. I'm just saying more in the realm of being able to do one thing very well.
Yes, I'd love to have Rain Man on VCR. That'd be a great one to
I actually have a copy. I could ship it to you. It's going to take months. I can't afford any sort of premium shipping.
I love Dustin Hoffman. It's worth it. Just send it. But yeah, so I think that kind of takes us to we have forgotten a member. We forgot about someone. Jonah Brown-Hosian.
Him?
Yeah, we did not talk about that wonderful gentleman. So
great guy. Friend of the show.
Bring it up. He had a season in 2020 where he ended that 47,000 day winless streak at the Lakeview Classic. He won the Reservoir Cup with Braden Brown. It was his first win.
Wow. I thought that was an amateur.
That was Jonah. So I guess, was it in that? No, it was Jonah. Jonah did win that event. Yes. Just making sure we have that right. Wanted to double check on that. The question now revolving around Mr. Brown-Hosian for me, because we did not forget about him here, is was his victory at Lakeview a sign of things to come, or just a blip on the radar?
He's just trying to remember if he was good there. Wow. Okay, we'll go with a sign of things to come. He's going to get back to his winning ways, winning an event or two every year. It's got to be expected from him now. He's got it. He's figured it out.
Okay, that was one of the worst analyses I've ever heard of any player. Maybe ever.
I just don't remember. I don't remember it at all. I'm sorry.
I think it's a sign of things to come as well. I think Jonah is a guy that we see, at Dragon's Head last year,
was he there?
Probably the worst round of
all. That's right. Yes.
History.
Yeah.
But then
I remember that
he goes to McCall and plays lights out. He hits 6 of 9 greens in regulation, plays phenomenal. And then a month later, he's in the winner's circle again, winning at the Lakeview Classic. The growth that we saw from Brown-Hosian last year was really, really impressive. And I think we're going to see a big year from him.
Yeah, let's go with that. Let's go with a big year from Jonah Brown-Hosian. Let's see how his matchups look with his teammates and with who he's going to be playing against. But I think that if he can carry over some of his winning ways, obviously, he's looking to do that. I give him as good a shot as anybody.
I like it. Well, now we have covered every single one of the players that we needed to with a question today. And that will basically cover what we wanted to cover in our 2021 preseason podcast. Richard, do you have any last minute notes you want to add in before the season gets underway on May 29th at the Dragon's Head Invitational?
Oh, I just want to say how thankful I am that we're back, and that shortly we will be enjoying the greatest game on earth. I got to get out there again. I got to go start, doing a little more panhandling, getting some money together so I can, get back across the pond. But that's on me. I know that's been made abundantly clear, and I will make sure that I am there for the first event here in less than 40 days.
Fantastic. I look forward to seeing you. I know I really hope we see fans back on the grounds at some point this season, because we definitely miss seeing those friendly faces around the golf course at all the major championships. And all I know is I'm incredibly excited for the 2021 season to get underway.
Yep.
And yeah, as you mentioned, we're under 40 days away. We can't wait. And hopefully you, if you're unable to join us on the grounds, you're watching from home from the
Oh no,
comfort.
I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be there.
Oh, okay. Well, it's pretty touchy with the quarantine rules here and whatnot. So
I'll get in.
Good stuff. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of the FGA podcast, and we'll see you next time.